All right, everybody, welcome to the second episode of the Den Discussions. I'm joined today by head men's baseball coach Rudy Arguelles and starting shortstop Gunner Antillion. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Gunner.
Yeah, you got it.
All right, perfect. So again, thanks for joining me. Rudy, we'll start with you. Why don't you just introduce yourself and then tell us a little bit about your time at RCC.
Sure. Yes, Rudy Arguelles, Riverside City College. Been a full-time faculty member since 2005. Been associated with and connected to this historic, how we view it in the Tiger family baseball program. Starting my 22nd year from a coaching standpoint here at RCC. That doesn't count my playing days. You know that. I feel very fortunate to have had, because I know what it did for me as far as opening up opportunities later on in the game, and not about the game. And again, kind of what our mantra has always been about life, opened up things for me within life. So 22 years starting this year with it. This is year 6 in transition as far as taking over the baseball program and the helm of it. But those who know me and know what we're about and been around know that it's not about one individual. It's about the collaboration and nucleus of the whole, and truly mean that. So 22 years, it's gone by fast, and it's been great, and looking forward to really what the future brings to us, and for young men like Gunner.
Gunner, we'll get right into you. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us about your time at RCC, despite it being such a small sample set.
Perfect. Yes, I'm Gunner Antillion, and I live in Rancho Cucamonga, so it's not that far from the side, so a little local, not too much though. And so far, my time at RCC, it's been nothing but amazing. All the professors and the teachers, they've been super open arms. And at first, it was a little intimidating because I didn't get to know anyone. I knew absolutely no one in the program. And I would have to say that since my experience here, I've definitely all the surrounding players have been amazing so far. I just can't complain about it.
Good. Well, I'm glad that you found a home here and you feel comfortable. We'll continue with you. I mean, you stepped on the scene immediately, and you were deemed the starting shortstop. It's a big task for a freshman coming in to a collegiate scene. You stepped in the box. You had a .253 batting average. You barreled 19 hits. You scored 10 times, and you had an on-base percentage of over 300. Talk about that performance. I know it was a small sample size, but were you ready for that? Were you prepared to be the starting shortstop on a college team coming right out of high school?
Yeah, I would say so. And I mean, Coach Rudy and we had a conversation. I think this will always be something that stays in my head. And I remember coming in before even I had an idea where I was going to go, because I was committed to a school before I was going to RCC. And I said, no, I'm going to test myself, see what I can do at RCC, try to be the best person possible. I remember giving him a phone call and saying I just want to be the starting shortstop. And he said, well, all right, we already have infielders, but I don't know about that, but we can give you an opportunity, and that's all I can promise you. And I was like, all right, that's all I need. And yeah, for the most part, I would say that the season went really well. Definitely a lot of adversity before the whole COVID thing happened. And the numbers, I feel they don't really portray who I am truly. I definitely feel I was barely starting to tap into getting used to the whole college experience on and off the field towards the end. And overall, I just can't wait till this hopefully next season, because I feel there's a lot more things that not only myself, but also my teammates, we have a lot of unfinished business, I would say.
Yeah, we're anxious to get you guys back on that diamond too. It's been a strange time, but you talk about team and camaraderie and not knowing anybody coming into the season, and after the first couple practices or even the first game, you guys can see that you mesh together really well. What has that experience meant to you? How did you get to know your teammates? And so far, what has it meant for you to be a Tiger?
Yeah, so by far, I think the best things that's helped us mesh as a team is definitely the morning weights, because it's not easy, but when you see other guys around you that are just getting at it, and they have their responsibilities, and they're taking it, they're accountable, and they're showing up on time.
that definitely opens your eyes. And then definitely like the practice aspect. The guys show up really early. And it's not like we'd show up on time. It was like on time is an hour early. So I feel like that was the best way for me to kind of like branch out and get to meet people, is just by getting work in. And like also study hall is a big one. I mean, I know we're doing homework, but like seeing the same guys over and over, getting work in and like kind of doing that was really big. And RCC, I just feel like there's just a great culture. Like coming in, there's just a lot of guys that are just there. We'll have like the same idea while trying to get to the same area.
Yeah, you mentioned culture, and you could see that every time I walk to the field. I'm in the press box getting ready. You guys are running and gutting. Rudy, you have them ready to go, and I kind of want to get into that culture aspect a little bit. You've been so successful. You're 6 years at the helm, and even before that, in the last decade, you've had 7 seasons with 20 plus wins, 5 straight regional berths, 2 consecutive super regional berths, all while competing in one of the strongest conferences in the state. Talk about how you get these guys prepared, ready to go compete against the best talent in the state at the community college level.
Hey, it's like I said, it was kind of a situation that, myself, and not only myself, if you go to that left field fence at our place, every single name on that left side of the outfield fence are former players, but more importantly, some former players, more importantly, guys that are contributing and giving back to this game within different programs, whether it be pro ball, whether it be at the Division I level or at the Division, 2 level. And now, we've got some guys that have transitioned into other programs and levels as well. And I say blessed and fortunate because we had that opportunity to be under a Hall of Fame coach and Hall of Fame person, within Dennis Rogers, as being our mentor, somebody that, allowed us to establish a foundation and baseline, and then also allowed us, to have some individualism as well, to grow out and let our own personalities come in and grow on top of that foundation that he was able to teach us, So again, I was blessed to come into a program that was already established, already had history, and the biggest question I was always asked there at the beginning, not so much now, but at the beginning especially, was, how are you going to fill those shoes? And really it's how that individual looks at things. And I've never looked at it that way. And I've always been upfront with it. Those are shoes you don't fill. Those are shoes you don't try to fill. You know what I mean? So again, it's about just trying to continue establishing and withholding, those high expectations, and, put those demands and help communicate and provide for these young men to understand what those expectations, demands on a daily basis, what will bring about within their growth and their development each and every day. And it's never been about just the game of baseball. And I think that's the biggest thing. It's never been about the game of baseball. It's always been about the full development of them as human beings and as individuals, and how they're going to get better as people so they can continue to contribute into our society. And then again, I'll go back to the second pillar, man. I know you guys have heard this before, but it's really our mantra, and I'm surprised Gunner's not, got a little crooked grin on his face right now, because they hear this and it's important. It's our belief system. It's what we're about. There's a reason why it's student/athlete. It's big time. And that's why he's going to be a leader. That's why he's going to continue to overcome obstacles and be able to address adversity head on. You know what I mean? And find success, not only in this game, because I believe he's going to be successful in life, but he's going to be successful in this game because of that as well. But he mentioned it. You talked about culture, and he addressed 4 issues right there, and one of them was study hall. How many guys are going to say the importance of having study hall, in today's day and age, where they just want to focus on the athletic side of things? You know what I mean? And that's huge, and that's big, and that shows you what he's about, and that's what we're trying to promote. And then, the third facet and that third pillar, those guys taking care of those 2 pillars in those 2 areas and hearing those messages given to them on a daily, is the athlete part of it, And my time there, And I've got to see some great players come through this program. I've been a part of some outstanding teams, and there's still going to be plenty of outstanding teams and plenty of outstanding players come through this program, you know, here in the immediate now and today and in the immediate future. But they take care of those two areas, you know, the human being part, becoming the best human being they possibly can, and putting that finite focus and emphasis on getting better each and every day. And then them as that student. It's been my experience, Nico, that those players who understand that, who embrace that on a daily basis, I mean truly daily basis, that third part, that athletic side of things happens by default, man. You can tell in their body language, the way they carry themselves. You see it in their eyes. You see it in the body language. You know how it changes because it's automatic. It's no longer work. It's no longer effort. It just becomes who they are and what they are. And that's the guys that really have the ability to just take off.
Yeah, and you can see that with your roster. I mean, you have quality human beings. And that's what it's all about. And that's what I appreciate about your team is that, you know, everybody's so personable, everybody's so accountable, everybody really understands the goal and the mantra of getting better, being successful not only on the diamond but off the diamond. And, you know, we appreciate that viewpoint. And Gunner, I want to hop to you on that note. Right now, during this time, you're not on the field right now. You know, you're not surrounded by your teammates. So that can be, you know, a little bit challenging. I want to hear from you, your own words. How are you staying active? How are you staying proactive during a time where maybe you don't have the same resources at your fingertips, or you don't have that support group literally by your side? How are you staying, you know, ready both in the classroom and your eventual return to the field?
Yeah, so I would say definitely it's been really hard during the pandemic. It hasn't been easy at all, but the one thing that has helped is I have a brother that's also coming to RCC to play baseball this year. And so basically that's like a built-in like hitting partner, throwing partner. So it's a little easier, but I still going to one. And yeah, it's been tough. It's really hard. It's really hard to keep motivation, but when you look at the bigger picture and like what we will have in the future, it definitely motivates you, especially like thinking that we'll be back eventually and we'll be back on campus. We'll be back to like normalcy. I think that's definitely been the biggest motivating factor. And I would say like on the classroom aspect, that's been a little tough too, trying to troubleshoot these problems, whether it's just through the internet or anything. But I would say just being like accountable, just trying to stay on top of my work, trying not to procrastinate. Because if I'm not procrastinating with my homework, that just means more time I can like have towards baseball or just being with the family and all that. Yeah, and I'd say like it's been tough because I've worked 3 jobs so far since quarantine started, so that hasn't been easy trying to. Because I mean we have a little bit more free time, but I'm also trying to make some money since we're not on the field, so I can like. I mean, it goes towards gas or food, say like with teammates and all that. Just trying to, and also I've just been trying to keep in contact with them. Just text them every now and then, see how they're doing, because it's been pretty tough.
And you said it right there, you know, future and big picture when you're trying to focus on, you know, getting your academics done and making sure you're staying active on the field. What do you see in the future for you? What are your plans past RCC after you guys obviously win an eventual state championship?
Well, yeah, definitely after RCC, I just want to go to a school where I feel like I'll grow the best academically and also like on the baseball field, because I feel that that's where I will grow my best if I'm feeling comfortable, not on the field, but also off the field, because that's the biggest part for me. And I feel like I've had that so far at RCC, and that's why I felt that it's like been a very good home for me so far.
Perfect. You know, Gunner, it's refreshing to hear you talk like this because, you know, you're obviously a very smart guy. You obviously have a fantastic head on your shoulders and you're driven. And Rudy, this is the type of athlete that you like and that you recruit. And I mean, you've had some fantastic athletes run through your program. You've had, you know, the likes of Jesse Chavez, Delwin Young, Chris, Bobby Keelty, Tommy Hansen, just to name a couple. You know, you had Mr. Martinez get drafted. You had, I I think Bobby Dean get drafted at a UCR. He was a RCC guy. How do you find quality kids like this?
Well, hey, you're a California guy, even though you're a Yankee fan. But there's a ton of you that fit that prototype right there. So
I'm okay with that.
But the bottom line, Nico, is that we live in a hotbed. We reside and we live in one of the hotbeds of our country. As far as the fortunate weather that we're blessed with and have on a consistent basis. Outside our rainy days, we can pretty much play year round, and we're not going to be derailed from that. So, and there's opportunities to play the game with so many organizations in today's day and age, and where it's at, it's no longer where, hey, you're going to find, the hidden gems because you're the only one out there putting the work in, from a scouting or recruiting sense. You know what I mean? There's the game being played everywhere. So if you're attached to an organization and you're playing, especially here in California, just like, a few of the other hotbeds throughout our country, you're going to be seen. You're going to be seen. And then it comes down to, that player feeling confident and making that decision that they're going to a place where hopefully, the emphasis is what Gunner just spoke about. You know what I mean? And that him saying that again makes me proud, to where his thought process is it's not about, and I know Coach Schittinger, I listened to him. I think he's great. Yeah, at Gwinnett, but his saying, I believe, is it's don't get enamored with what's across the chest. Don't get enamored with the name across the chest. It should come down to what Gunner just expressed, where am I going to be able to continue my growth and development in those areas that we talked about, especially not just in the game, and have a chance to do that on a daily basis so I could put myself in a position to succeed, and get better and whatever that may be within the game. Obviously, these guys here coming in, their mindset, and we tell them as well, hey, learn these traits, adapt to these traits, implement these traits, have them become part of your fiber so that you can push your ceiling, within the development side of things, and then you can create and try to create some longevity so that you get to play this special game that we're a part of, how we feel and hold dear to our heart as long as you possibly can. As long as you possibly can. But in the meantime, all the lessons that you're learning, all the sacrifices that you're making during the time and process, you're setting yourself up for when, that's Mr. Baseball. Dennis used to say, Mr. Baseball is going to come knock on your door. Every one of us has to experience that. Us three here have experienced that, except Gunner. I shouldn't say three, two. He will, because 100%, have him knock on that door and say, hey, I love what you've done for our game. I appreciate everything you gave to our game. I love the respect factor, the effort factor, but time is up and your services are no longer rendered. You know what I mean? And that's hard. Some of us get over it quicker and we move on. But these lessons being learned, the growth that's taking place because they're able to embrace these concepts and believe in these concepts and boom, come 2 feet in and establish and grow. When that knock comes, they're ready, man. They're ready for plan B to take initiative because they prepared themselves that way. So that's where we're at.
Yeah, that knock from Mr. Baseball is a sad day, but at the same time, other doors are going to open. Absolutely. I remember that day when Mr. Baseball came knocking.
It's a sad day. It's a sad day and it's a hard day. But it's truly sad for the ones that, hey, took things for granted. Didn't make the sacrifices necessary to put themselves in positions to succeed so that they can maximize on their growth and whatnot. They were willing to take the shortcuts, You know what I mean? There's no shortcuts. There's no shortcuts. You know what I mean? It's really sad for those, sad in the part where everybody poured in and believed and embraced the process. Yes, but they're able to get over it because they know they're prepared to succeed for the next step, whatever it may be. Sometimes it is within the game, but sometimes it's within life. And we know those guys. Like I said, I'm pointing to this guy down right here on the screen because he's down on my screen right now. I know within my heart, he's one individual. When this is all said and done, I know he's going to contribute. I know he's going to be successful in life.
That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. But Rudy, you're a Mr. Baseball visit. Came a little bit later for you. I mean, your baseball journey has been pretty impressive. I mean, you're a local guy. You're an all-county guy, an all-league guy at Norco High.
Are you talking to me?
I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you. Yeah. What the Norco legend? I'm talking to the Norco legend on the diamond. You made it to the CIF state championships twice. You went to play at RCC under Coach Rogers. You eventually went to ASU, played in a Natty Champ against USC, and then eventually got drafted by the then California Angels. Yes, Gunner, they used to be called the California Angels, just to let you know. Talk about that journey, Rudy. It's a dream for most kids to be drafted by a professional organization. Just kind of go through that and tell us your experience.
Oh man, I don't know if we have enough time. I don't know if my battery is going to last long enough. I did an experiment. I put myself outside. Usually I'm doing these, keep the battery plugged in and engaged. But again, man, I was blessed, and for me, my approach into life, I'm always willing and open to giving guys, a second chance, a second opportunity. And really, if you think about our level, that's one area that really symbolizes sometimes, I'll say sometimes, what junior college is about as well. Whether it be from an academic side of things, why guys end up here, or, things of that nature. For me, my road was definitely not the most common road that's been traveled, to have experience. But I was grateful for it, out of high school. I know you mentioned, yes, out of Norco High. I would never tell my players this ever, even though I'm an open book, and I do tell them. I shouldn't say I have told them. I would never suggest this to them in high school. I didn't take my SATs, man. I did not take them. And the whole reason and purpose behind me not taking my SATs was Dennis Rogers just came to RCC, and I knew he was there, and there was no way I was going to go anywhere else or wanted to go anywhere else. I wanted to play under that man. I wanted to have time and opportunity to be under him, to learn under him, to play for him. I just wanted to be a part of it, So for me, I didn't take my SATs. I knew right out of Norco where I was going to go. I was going to go to RCC, and he was just establishing the program. That was 1990, man, 1990. So I ended up there right out of high school, and out of high school, I had misfortunes and had to stop and fall. I had to take a break and take care of some responsibilities with my grandparents who raised me, and God bless them. My dad, father-in-law, my father, grandpa is in heaven now, and we're in 2.5 years, and my mom's still here, and we went through some battles with her, and some of the guys in the Tiger family. I'll always be grateful for the support that you guys here were able to provide me and give me and my family, but she's still going strong. So I took some time off, man. I took some time off. I went to work, and during that time off work, I ended up getting married. I had a child, during that time. I was working at a rock quarry and a corrugated box factory in Santa Fe Springs, Norwalk area, making that commute and travel from Corona Norco area to there and working graveyard. And I think at one point in time I worked 28 straight days without a day off, and every shift during that 28 days, and it was pretty common, was anywhere from 10 to 16-hour shifts. You know what I mean? In a factory. So it was grinding work, and that's just something that, you know, I learned from, especially my grandfather and those around me, that, you know, if you're going to be successful, there's absolutely one trait that has to be present within that individual, and you can't be afraid to work, man. Put the work in, man. Have some work ethic, and if you can do that, you'll be able to overcome. I was blessed with that. I'm not afraid to work, get after it. Opened up some opportunities for me with an injury, started rehabbing, and I decided that I wanted to go back to school, man, and give the game a shot, you know, one more time, because there was, after going from the rock quarry to the corrugated box factory in those hours, and I'm like, do I want to do this? I can do this. I had it in my mind, I can do it, but do I want to do this every day? And what type of person am I going to be if I got to do this every day? You know, again, child in mind too. So I went back to school, called up Dennis, asked him if I can have a shot, and enrolled myself into my classes to get a head start in that summer session. You know, like Dennis can, you know, he gave me a hard time and, you know, made things difficult for me to even come out and be a part of the team. But, you know, I was able to get through that and, you know, make my mark and find a way to put myself on the team and contribute. And after my RCC days, we'll cut all that short, you know, for time-wise. You know, I was blessed to have Coach Murphy and the staff, Coach Schreiber and Nino Gerentano and the rest over there to bring me on to Arizona State's program and play there. And what a blessing that was and still is. And there's nothing like being a part of, you know, traditions, you know, here at RCC and at Arizona State. I truly feel the same within my heart, and I always will. That last year, you know, you talked about being able to play in Omaha and having that experience and getting to the national championship. And I still, to this day, man, see, if I got goosebumps right now talking, and I don't talk about these things very much, Nico. My guys, like Gunner's probably looking at me like, oh man, I've not even heard any of this, because again, you know how I approach it. It's never about me. It never will be. It's about them. It's about creating it for them. But beyond grateful for that opportunity in the World Series, man. It still stings to get to that championship game and only lose one game in Omaha and not have a chance to play another game. You know what I mean? And kind of ironic because I grew up a USC fan, and that's who beat us in that national championship in 1998, you know? So that was that, you know, and then from there, always in constant communication with Dennis, and he was always telling me, even when I was a player, man, you're gonna coach, you're gonna coach, you're gonna coach, you're gonna coach, you know. And as players, we never think about the coaching side. It's always about the playing side. Where am I going? Where am I climbing? What am I gonna overcome? How am I gonna keep pushing that so I can create the longevity and create more time playing the game that we love and have passion for, you know? It was players' mentality. So when that happened, I was fortunate enough during that time. He talked about getting into coaching, and at that same time in Omaha, you know, the Angels called my name. You know what I mean? And today's day and age, I would have never even been drafted. You know what I mean? In time, you know, I was fortunate enough to have enough rounds where my name was called. You know, so I got a cup of coffee, and again, another blessed and grateful opportunity to spend some time in that organization, even though it was a small time, and get a taste what it was like, you know, playing a little bit of minor league ball. And again, during that time, I had already started helping out and giving back to RCC during that time when we were prepping for, you know, spring training. And the two guys that we were there, you know, doing the same thing was, you know, Randy Betton, another Tiger family, who's the head coach at Cal Poly now, you know, same organization too, ironic. Went to the same school, Arizona State, you know. So very blessed. When I got knocking on my door during that time with Anaheim, you know, Dennis was like, hey, I want you to take some time off, man. You've been grinding, you know what I mean? Take some time off. And I know deep down that was what he felt was right, but he knew what my answer was going to be, like it was always going to be when he would try to send me home from the field. You know, you're hammering it too hard. You need to take some time off. You know, you can't play this game like a football player, you know, because those of you who know me, you know, my aggressive mentality. I want to get after it. You know what I mean?
24/7, no other way.
You know, 24/7. And, you know, that was his saying to me all the time. You know, you can't play the game that way. The game's not played that way. But that's just how this old man now is wired still to this day. You know what I mean? It's embrace the grind. You gotta embrace the grind and understand it's going to be the grind. So wanted me to take time off. I said, no, man, got to start giving back to these guys and helping that team, you know, during that time. And that was in 1998, still coaching. I was playing and still coaching, you know. Matter of fact, started teaching at the Norco campus, teaching classes here, which I'm pointing this way right here, Nico, and it's one football field away from my house, my front porch right here. You know, that started the journey from the coaching side, you know, transitioning from the player to the coaching side. That was 1998, and here we are in the fall of 2020. You know what I mean? And again, the ride's been awesome. It's been awesome. I don't take anything for granted. And again, there's not been any lessened emotion or commitment or drive or passion to take time away. It still burns deep. It still burns strong. I want to surround myself with as many, you know, makeups like this young man right here has, and try to provide for them. And I say we try to provide for them as much as we possibly can, so that they can take advantage of that environment, of that culture, of those lessons, of that guidance, of that leadership, of that mentorship, you know, on a daily, so they can put themselves in position. And you know how it is, man. Once this is in your blood, once it's running through the veins and in your blood, it's not coming out. It's not coming out. So that drives me each and every day where we're at right now, today's present. You know what I mean? I love being able to have that opportunity to give back. And, you know, it's about them, and it always will be.
Yeah, I mean,
when I was
one thing
that was given to me.
I think you said it perfectly, Rudy. You got to embrace the grind. I mean, especially during 2020. I mean, this is the time where you really need to embrace that grind. You really need to, you know, stay to the grindstone and get your stuff done. You know, there's no other way. So Gunner, I'm gonna hop to you on that note. Kind of closing statements. Obviously, this has been a very, very tough time for everybody, and I can't imagine it. You know how you've gone through it, being a student athlete and losing, you know, the majority of your season. If you had any advice for somebody coming in and wanted to be a Tiger, what would that advice be, and what would you be able to provide them in order to be successful?
So definitely my advice is just, I would say one of the most important ones is to like be comfortable being uncomfortable. That's something that I definitely learned this past year, because like it's not easy, but you just got, like how Rudy was saying, you just got to embrace it. And also I'd just say like be yourself, because that's one of the biggest things too. Because if you're not yourself, then you're not performing like which way you want to. And also I would just say like just ask questions, because that's one of the biggest things. If you don't know something, it's better to ask the question and do it, rather than how Rudy always says this, to sit back and wait for things to conspire. I feel like that's something that everyone can learn. And then also I just say like just have a good routine. Make sure you get your hydrated. Like you're just making sure like you're staying on top of everything. And also classes, because if you're not performing in the classes, then you won't even be able to perform on the field. And that kind of comes back onto like the whole 3 pillars. I would say like definitely all those things. And just make sure like you're just branching out, like I said, and just meeting new people. Because the more people you know, then the easier it is, and you be yourself. And I just say that those are probably the things I would have for any other student athlete coming into RCC.
And Rudy, I'm going to jump to you with the same question, obviously a different perspective. I know you specifically some great knowledge and facts at us today, but maybe if you had to give, one piece of advice to an incoming student right now, what would it be? What would it be if you had to sum it up?
Oh, one piece of advice. Just a couple points. Open mind would be number one, an open mind. And number two, zero shortcuts. Zero shortcuts, there are none. So that means, hey, put the gloves on, roll up the sleeves, make sure you got your blue collar on, because we're getting after it. We're going to get after it on a daily. And just be willing to, like Gunner was saying, to work on yourself in the two areas of the two pillars that we talked about. It's not just going to be about baseball. And I think that if they have those three components, they're going to be willing to embrace, willing to accept, willing to have an open mind, listen to what the concepts are. It's understanding and know that it's learned. He's connected, he understands, but coming in, there was still that uncertainty, and know that, hey, as the time goes, they know, not just me, but we, the rest of the staff, we are here 100% to assist them with their development and growth. And once they realize that, it's over. It's over. And I think that's what's allowed us to really have, the success that we've had throughout these years. And it's going to continue to allow us to be as successful and competitive in the future. You know what I mean? There's no secret potion to it, Nico. There's no secret potion, and we're not going to reinvent the wheel, but those areas right there, 100%, you have those, understand there's zero shortcuts. You're willing to put the work in, have an open mind. The relationships will be developed. And with the relationships being developed, these guys right here, the trust comes in. And once that trust factor is established, the connection is there. Let's go. Let's go. Love to pull back the Mustangs. There's no more kicking guys on a daily. Those guys don't last.
Whew, I have goosebumps. I want to strap it up again, man. I love it. I love it. Well, you guys, I really appreciate you joining me today for the second episode of the Den Discussions again. Head baseball coach Rudy Arguelles, spitting facts. I love it. I love listening to you. I love your passion. I love your drive. You're one of the more motivational and guys that I look up to in the department. So I appreciate your mentorship towards me and what you do for our student athletes. And Gunner, I appreciate you joining us. You're a bright kid. You're a fantastic baseball player. And I really look forward to seeing how you develop and lead the Tigers. And one more thing, you can see over my shoulder right here, this is one of my idols, Derek Jeter. Okay. And I hope that you appreciate that too, because I want to make sure that he was in the window just for you.
Always.
Nico.
What's that?
Nico, Jeter is one of the very few, I should say, that didn't get the knock, and he went out on his terms.
Mm-hmm. I know.
Special.
If only we could all be like DJ. If only. All right, guys. Well, again, I appreciate you joining me. I look forward to seeing you guys again in the future. In the meantime, stay safe, stay active, and take care.
Nico, thank you for having us.
Thank you for having me.
We appreciate you. More programs need individuals like you being advocates of how you go about your business and what you do for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Rudy. I appreciate that. All right, guys. Until next time.